Worship is not something that we do. Worship is a condition of the heart. Worship is our heart's response to seeing Jesus, to beholding him, to being loved by him. But the Bible tells us that worship can be expressed in very real, tangible ways in our everyday lives. And so I want to show you today from the scriptures 8 different expressions of worship. The first one, which should be pretty obvious for those of you who are taking this course, is singing and playing instruments is worship. It can be an expression of our worship unto Jesus. Psalm 66 verse 4 says, "All the earth shall worship you and sing praises to you. They shall sing praises to your name." So singing can be an expression of worship, and playing instruments can also be an expression of worship. In 1 Chronicles 16 verses 4 through 6, it says that David appointed the Levites, certain of the Levites, to lead the people in worship before the ark of the Lord, to invoke his blessings, to give thanks, and to praise the Lord, the God of Israel. And then the passage lists the leaders and the various people who played those instruments. They played the cymbals, they played the harps, the lyres, and the trumpets. Those are the instruments that are listed. And so singing and playing instruments is an expression of our worship. Secondly, the work of our hands is worship. Mark 12 verse 30 says, "Love the Lord your God with all your strength." With your strength, with the work of your hands, what you do. Love him with what you do. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." As we work, our work is worship unto Jesus. The work of our hands is worship. And we can find him in those things we do. Whether we take care of a family, we remember how he cares for us. When we clean, we remember how he cleanses us every day. When we repair something, we remember how he repairs us, how he changes us, how he makes us new. So the work of our hands is worship. Number 3, our thoughts are worship. Mark 12 verse 30 says, "Love the Lord your God with all your mind." We can actually love God with our mind. That's amazing. That what I think about can actually be loving him. That's amazing. Psalm 19 verse 14 says, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight." And then Philippians 4:8 tells us what to think about. Whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report. If there is any virtue, and if there's anything worthy of praise, meditate on these things. Think about these things. So our thoughts can actually be worship unto Jesus. Number 4, our words are worship. Zephaniah 3:9 says, "I will purify the speech of all people so that everyone can worship the Lord together." Listen to that again. "I will purify the speech of all people so that everyone can worship the Lord together." Our words, our speech is actually worship unto Jesus. Psalm 19 verse 14 says, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight." So our words are worship. Number 5, our posture is worship. I saw this a lot as I studied this topic in the scriptures, and I have only 3 verses here to share with you, but it is all over, especially in the Psalms and even in the New Testament, that our posture is an expression of our worship. Psalm 95 verse 6 says, "Come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker." Our posture actually matters because it's an expression of our heart of worship. Psalm 134 verse 2 says, "Lift up your hands in the sanctuary and bless the Lord." Lift up your hands and bless the Lord. And then Revelation 4:10 says that in heaven the 24 elders fall down before him who sits on the throne and worship him. So our posture is actually an expression of our heart of worship. Number 6, trusting God is worship. This is beautiful. Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." Most of us have heard that verse a lot, but the Hebrew word for trust actually means to throw oneself face down, as in worship. The Hebrew word for trust means to throw oneself face down, as in worship. So when we trust God, it's an act of worship. Number 7, giving is worship. Matthew 2, verse 11, talks about the wise men, and it says that they entered the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So their giving was a part of their worship. Their giving was an expression of their worship. And Matthew 6, verse 21 says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So giving is worship. And number 8, daily dying to ourselves is worship. Romans 12, verse 1 says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. So this verse tells us that when we present our bodies as a sacrifice, when we die to ourselves, our own desires, our own wants, our own needs, that is actually worship unto Jesus. In the Old Testament, a sacrifice was meant to die. And in this verse, it tells us, present your bodies as a sacrifice, ready to die to yourself, to prefer another, to die to yourself and live to God. And we are called to take up our cross daily, to crucify our flesh daily, to die to our own desires daily. And as we do, it is worship. It's an offering that is holy and acceptable unto God. And I find it interesting that when Jesus was on the cross, he quoted from the first verse of Psalm 22. He said, my God, why have you forsaken me? That entire psalm, Psalm 22, is messianic. It speaks of Jesus on the cross. And if you read through the whole thing, it's very, very descriptive of his suffering and his death on the cross. And in the middle of the psalm, Psalm 22, verse 22, he says, in the midst of the congregation, I will praise you. Okay, so this psalm is the words of Jesus when he's on the cross, dying for you and for me. And in the midst of his thoughts on the cross, Psalm 22, he says, in the midst of the congregation, I will praise you. What's he saying? In the midst of the people, here on the cross, I will worship you, Father. I will praise you, God. Jesus on the cross was worshiping the Father. Jesus on the cross was praising God. And if Jesus on the cross worshiped the Father, how much more ought you and I, taking up our tiny little crosses every day to worship him? So as we die to ourselves, die to our desires, our preferences, our needs, our wants, to live for him, that's worship. So the expressions of worship, singing and playing instruments is worship. The work of our hands is worship. Our thoughts are worship. Our words are worship. Our posture is worship. Trusting God is worship. Giving is worship. And daily dying to ourselves is worship.